And you're probably here because you live with pelvic pain. Most likely, you live with pelvic pain. You probably live with hypertonic pelvic floor dysfunction, or you live with endometriosis, like sclerosis, intercystitis, and then maybe you have hypertonic pelvic floor dysfunction on top of that. And I see you. I want you to know that you are not alone. Welcome to the Pelvic Power Podcast. My name is Penny, and I am the host of this lovely space. I am a pelvic floor yoga teacher who teaches people with pelvic pain how to use movement, breathwork, and body awareness to ease and manage their pain while living a pleasurable life. In this space, we'll be talking about all things taboo because we love it, and how to support your lovely pelvis and your lovely self on this journey that you are on. I'm very happy that you are here, and I hope that you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Pelvic Power Podcast. I'm very happy that you are here today, and also very excited because I'm flying to Sweden today. So in about 20 hours, I will be seeing my family. And I'm so excited. I haven't seen them in a long time. And it takes me a long time to actually get there. From door to door, it takes me a long time. I just had my surgery. Don't worry, there's an episode coming on that as well. But I just had my surgery. And I'm a little bit worried because I'm still in pain, but we'll see how it goes. I'm staying positive. One of the people on the Iris team sent me a message because they saw my Instagram story. I'm worried about getting to the airport in Amsterdam because I only have like an hour and a half to get to my next plane. And Amsterdam airport, it's a big airport. I don't really know it that well. And I always get a little bit anxious when I'm getting into an airport that I don't know and where I'm going. And then add pain on top of that, not being able, knowing how I'll be able to walk after sitting for 8 hours. So they sent me a message and they were like, you know that you can ask for airport assistance, right? So I did that and it was actually approved. So I'm very happy someone will assist me from my first flight to my second flight, and I didn't know that you could do that. So it's pretty cool. If you didn't know that either, I didn't know that you could do that. I thought you had to have like a proper note from your doctor or anything, but I just sent in a little message and I said, "Look, I had last minute surgery." It wasn't last minute, but I said that. I had surgery and I'm a little bit worried about my connecting flight in Amsterdam. I would appreciate if you can help me with any of this. And then they sent me a message this morning saying that I will get assistance. So I'm very excited about that because that takes some of my nerves away from my beautiful body. And then also, I'm a little bit anxious about leaving beautiful little Tay. And this is the first time I will be away from her for such a long time. But she will be well looked after by my friends and their family. So I feel like, oh, as soon as I get on the plane, I can like relax a little bit. Anyway, let's dive into today's episode. So, as this episode is released, it is officially a new month. We are in April, and I love spring. I love the shift of a new season, and specifically spring, because everything comes back into life. The smells, the buds, the birds. It just sets this tone of like oomphiness. And I really like to harness that energy, and also what kind of energy am I inviting in to this month. And you're probably here because you live with pelvic pain. Most likely you live with pelvic pain. You probably live with hypertonic pelvic floor dysfunction, or you live with endometriosis, like sclerosis, intercystitis, and then maybe you have hypertonic pelvic floor dysfunction on top of that. And I see you. I want you to know that you are not alone, and I'm so happy that you're in this space because you're learning tools to support yourself every day. And it's important to know that you have the power here, and you have these tools that you can use to support yourself. And I was thinking about April and that how everything just kind of blossoms. And that made me think about the pelvis and what we're going through. So I want to give you a concept today and kind of start to invite this in to your life for to help with your pain. So throughout this episode today, I really invite you to keep an open mind because I feel like the mind is so powerful. It's such a powerful tool when it comes to our healing journey. And no matter where you are in your journey, know that your journey is yours and there's no need to compare it to anyone else's. We're all going through different things in life. And the challenges that we have, or the struggles that we have, and the wins that we have, they all look different. So know that your journey is yours, and no matter where you are at, you are doing absolutely freaking fantastic. So, when it comes to your pelvis, this is a visualization technique or a way of looking at your pelvis and your pelvic floor to create a kind of gentle expansion throughout your pelvis. So if you ever worked on your pelvic floor breathing, maybe you worked with a pelvic physio, maybe you worked with me, maybe you worked with someone else, and there's a concept of visualizing your pelvic floor blooming like a flower when you're inhaling. So we talk a lot about the breath here. I talk a lot about the breath because the breath is super important for your pelvic health, but it's also such a powerful tool in just shifting the energy that you're in. So it's so much more than just looking at the physical body. When you're going through things, we use the breath to upregulate, downregulate, shift the energy, take us through any challenges, any hurdles that we may go through. But if you're looking at the pelvic floor, so when we're talking about the breath, when you are inhaling, your diaphragm is expanding. So it's expanding to the front, to the back, and to the sides of the body. And your breath is super important. And if you haven't started working on your breath yet, I definitely encourage you to do so. So it's expanding. The diaphragm, the rib cage, they are both expanding. But as you're inhaling, your diaphragm is also descending. So it's coming down. It's coming down, baby. And so does your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor wants to move with your breath. If you live with pelvic floor tension, that movement of the pelvic floor might not be happening as naturally as we want it to be. So, visualizing your pelvic floor blooming like a flower. So, we're making the concept of this month, visualizing your pelvic floor blooming as a flower. And just stay with me here. I'm going to give you a couple of different techniques that you can, or ways that you can use this kind of mindset throughout the month and how you can incorporate that into your life and to make it easy for yourself, because I want it to be easy for you to actually support your body, for you to live with less pain. So, as you're inhaling, really imagine that your pelvic floor is blooming like a flower. So, if you haven't done this yet, I do really encourage you to do it with me right now. You can come into a lying down position where you're planting your feet on the floor, and you can place your hands on top of your body. So, that could be diaphragm, rib cage. So it becomes a little bit more actionable today, a little bit more interactive for you this episode. And then as you're inhaling, you're inviting that inhale in, and you want to feel the expansion through the rib cage, the belly expand with that inhale, and you're inviting the breath into the pelvic floor. As you're doing so, see if you can visualize the pelvic floor blooming like a flower. It is spring. We're inviting in that blossoming sensation, and not just in your pelvic floor, but into your entire being. Because you are blooming this spring. You have been hibernating. It's been winter. Maybe you're feeling a little bit low. I don't know about you, but I have been feeling low, especially if this is past week when I've been lying at home after my surgery. So as you're inhaling, you're feeling the pelvic floor expanding. And as you're exhaling, that pelvic floor gently travels back up. The little bloom, the little flower is closing. And I really invite you to start to visualize this first thing in the morning. I often talk about connecting with your pelvic floor first thing in the morning. Great way to do this, to really get in the habit and to train your body and your mind body connection, that your pelvic floor wants to move with your breath. It's a really great first step to ease your pelvic tension, to ease your pelvic pain. Now, if this feels challenging to you and you don't notice anything in your pelvic floor, stay with me, okay? This takes practice, and I invite you to make it more fun, because getting to know your body is fun. Learning the house that your soul is living in, it is fun. And sometimes I think that we forget how complex and what a story your body is telling you. So really stay with it. Try it out. Maybe you can start to notice, am I feeling a shift in my pelvic floor as I'm doing this? Try it for a week and see how it goes, or try it for the month, see how it goes. What are you learning about your body? Maybe your pelvic floor starts to ease some of that tension that you are living with. Now, this is one thing that you can practice too. I'm just going to come out and say it because it's my favorite, legs up the wall. Do this while you're practicing legs up the wall. That's what I did this morning. I didn't really feel like sitting down and doing my morning meditation today, but I'm feeling anxious. Also, one of the reasons why I didn't want to sit down and do my meditation, because my mind is going 1,000 different directions. But then I get into a legs up the wall position, place my hands on top of my belly, and I take 20 breaths, and I'm visualizing my pelvic floor it is blooming like a beautiful little flower. And a couple of different other poses that you can do this in. You can do it in puppy pose. I fucking love puppy pose. Puppy pose is such a great pose. It's kind of like a child's pose, but your pelvis stays stacked on top of your knees. That's also one thing that you can try right now if you want to. So you're getting into a tabletop, your pelvis stays stacked on top of your knees, you're guiding the hands in front of you, and you're dropping the third eye to the floor. I'm actually giving you these tools so you can live with less pain. So go ahead, try them out, see how it feels. As you're in this position, you're going to feel this lengthening through the front body. And if you actually pay attention to it, how does it feel? Into the pelvic floor, feeling that lengthening through the front body. And if you relax your belly, how does that feel? Feel your pelvic floor blooming like a little flower in that pose as well. You can do this pose too with an internal rotation at the hip joint. So you're guiding the feet wider than the knees. I am obsessed with this pose. It is such a yummy, yummy pose. Very juicy pose. So I definitely recommend trying this one out as well. And here, you're not only connecting with the pelvic floor through the breath, you're also stretching through the pelvic floor because you're guiding the feet wider than the knees, creating that lengthening sensation between or widening sensation between the sits bones. You're breathing into the space between your sits bones. You can also do that internal rotation lying on your belly. You're stacking the hands on top of each other, forehead is resting on top of the hands. Feet are up to the air, but they're falling away from each other. So the feet are wider than the knees. You're continuing to breathe into the pelvic floor. You're feeling that blooming sensation through the pelvic floor. That kind of pressure from the floor as well. When you're breathing, you're feeling the expansion. Rib cage belly is also a great way to kind of send the breath into the pelvic floor and also connect to the back body of the diaphragmatic breath that you're taking as well. Supported bridge pose is another great one. Do a bridge pose, place a cushion or a yoga block if you have one under your pelvis. And this makes you kind of like into an inversion, and that takes some of the pressure off of the or weight off of the pelvic floor. So that can be an easier way to actually connect with your pelvic floor through your breath. So try that one as well. So all the poses that I just gave you right now, I just gave you a little flow that you can do for your pelvic health. If you're not doing anything for your pelvis, remember that movement is important. Movement is important for you to release the tension that is causing you pelvic pain, that's causing you low back pain, hip pain. It might be sacrum pain, tailbone pain, wherever that may be. Invite in movement so that you can ease tension, release pain. This is why we're here. Give these poses a go, see how that feels, and really take that sensation of blooming with you. But also, I told you that we would make it easier if you are not ready to take any of these poses because you don't have the capacity to do that yet. How can you take this sensation of blooming through the pelvic floor with you throughout your day? So first off, really think about the fact, are you relaxing your belly? So whenever you feel yourself holding on to tension, belly, pelvic floor, you're feeling pain, how can you connect with that sense of I'm blooming through the pelvic floor, and for me to bloom properly, I need to relax my belly. I need to relax my beautiful belly. Or, for example, I'm clenching my jaw. For me to take a really regulating breath, even more regulating breath, how can I unclench my jaw? Am I holding on to tension in that part of my body? Am I clenching my glutes? Clenching my glutes. How does that create tension throughout the pelvic floor as I'm trying to bloom through the pelvic floor? I'm trying to expand. I'm trying to open up, create space through the pelvis and throughout the body and throughout your entire self. When you are on the toilet, when you are peeing and pooing, are you forcing your pee? Are you straining? Is there any way that you can connect with that sensation of blooming through the pelvic floor? You're relaxing the pelvic floor. You're letting it go as you're sitting on the toilet. If you're straining as you're peeing, you're rushing to peeing, you're pushing the pee out, that can also create pelvic floor dysfunction. So really start to pay attention. Okay, where am I maybe forcing? Where am I rushing? Is there a way that I can slowly start to slow the fuck down? Take my time and connect with that sense of I'm blooming through the pelvic floor. So whenever you go to the washroom today, tomorrow, the next day, throughout the rest of the month, okay, can I bloom through my pelvic floor? I'm inhaling, I'm blooming, I'm releasing, I'm letting go. And if you actually do this, I want to get a message from you. I want to hear you doing this because it is super important. Sometimes we hear stuff and we're just like, oh, it's such a small thing. It doesn't make any difference. But I'm giving you all of these fucking small things. I don't know why I threw a fuck in there, but they are small things, seemingly small things, but they might also be hard. And this is why I do it, because I know that we're on so different levels of where we're at in our journey. So some of us may think like, oh, this is really small. These are so gentle. They're not going to help anything. But if you add all those things up that I'm giving you, everything that we talk about on the podcast, everything I talk about on my blog posts, everything that we talk about in our classes together, if you add all of those things up, holy motherfucking shit, you are really 180. You're 180ing your life, okay? You're doing a 180. I feel like 180 isn't a full circle. 180 is a flip around. But if you're watching me on YouTube right now, I'm sitting here just waving my arm in the air. But you're doing a 180 if you're adding all these small things up. But also, if you are like down here, you are not feeling life right now, all of these seemingly small things may feel really fucking challenging. So if you just do one thing for yourself, know that that's enough. At least you started and you're heading in the right direction of where you want to go. So I'm giving you all these small, easy things. Some of you might think it doesn't matter. It does matter. Okay, start to pay attention to how you are actually showing up for your body, for yourself every single day, because you have the power, baby. I truly believe that there's so much power within you. And I see this all the time in my students. They have that epiphany that they can actually make a change when they are not feeling well, whether that is physically or mentally or emotionally. They just have to take it a little bit step further to really realize that, oh, fuck, I do have this power. And sometimes we need that reminder. Okay, I didn't practice any yoga when I've been at home for the past week, when I've been lying on my couch. I'm not gonna, oh, well, I did a little bit of breathing. That was it. That was the extent of what I could do for me, the capacity that I had. And then yesterday I taught my first pelvic floor yoga class in a week. And as soon as I landed on my mat, I'm like, and this is why the fuck we do this. There's a lot of fucks in here today. This is why we do this, because it feels so good once you land there, once you land in your body and you're noticing, oh, I have a lot of SI joint pain today. How can I take this time to actually let it go? After the end of the class, I was like, I'm fucking golden. I'm not feeling my pain today. Woke up this morning and I was like, and this is why we do the work that we do. But sometimes you just need that reminder. So it's even hard for me. So you're definitely not alone. Keep that in mind. And as I was saying, waking up first thing in the morning, how can you connect with that blooming sensation of the pelvic floor? How often are you waking up? The first thing you do is grab your phone. You're scrolling. But one of the first things that you'll probably do is sitting on the toilet. You're going to pee. Blooming sensation. You continue with that blooming, visualizing your pelvic floor blooming, letting go, releasing. Do it first thing in the morning. Notice how the rest of the day goes. It might change the way that you are showing up for yourself. It might change your relationship with your body. And then when it comes to that blooming sensation, how can you invite that into the sexualness? When you are getting sexy with someone, you are having a good old time with someone, whether that, well, that someone doesn't have to be someone, it can be something that you're using yourself as well. So as you're inhaling, you're feeling that pelvic floor blooming, and then you're inserting said something or someone. Completely up to you. The choice is yours. Same thing when you're using your tampons, when you're working with your dilators. Really, really connect with your breath first. You're connecting with your breath, you're connecting with the partner that you might be with. And then as you're taking an inhale, really take your time. Then, as you're inhaling, you're stretching, you're lengthening, you're relaxing your pelvic floor. That's when you're inserting. So that's one way that you can use it as well. Same thing when you go see your gynecologist. Ask your gynecologist, I need a moment before you insert anything, just so I can take an inhale into my pelvic floor. And I know that if you're practicing this beforehand, it's going to help to regulate your nervous system. But also when you go into the chair, you might feel a little bit, "Oh, I'm tensing up," because you're fucking lying there with your legs in the air and you're feeling a little bit some sort of way. And just breathing into your pelvic floor and like, okay, can you let me know like when you're ready? I'm just going to take an inhale. You're visualizing your pelvic floor blooming, blossoming, opening up, and then they're inserting. And yes, that might be a lot to think about when you're lying in the chair, but really start to play around with it. Okay, how can I actually support my body in that sense of using that visualization, using the breath to relax lengthen, stretch the pelvic floor. With that being said, take an inhale, side out. Do a little horse lips. We're going to take one more. So you're inhaling, side out, let it go. You can do one more if you want to, completely up to you. I want you to remember that you're freaking strong, that you got this. And some of the concepts that we talk about, they might be for you, they might be for you. You take what you need, you leave the rest, okay? I want to be able to give you tools that you can use to support yourself. This is a space for you. And if you want more of this kind of vibe, go download the Pelvic Relief Bingo card. So the theme of this month is visualizing your pelvic floor blooming, blossoming as a flower. As we're doing this, you're given 24 squares that you can do while keeping this in mind. And these things are gentle, small things. Go download the Pelvic Relief Bingo card. It is free and we love this. I create them for you every single month so that you can connect with your body and with yourself a bit more, so that you can learn by your body. I have some of my students, they do the entire bingo card because it really helps them to stay on track with what they're doing. We're all different kind of people too. Some of us are very like competitive and we have that kind of personality that we need to look at things to be able to do it, and it feels good for them to kind of cross it off. I have some students that do one every day, or they just get to bingo, or they just do the ones that they haven't done before that they really like. Go ahead, grab your Pelvic Relief Bingo card, start to make the journey a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. Start to make the journey more fun, more interesting, more whimsical, more magical, because this is what we're here for. I want you to feel supported on this journey. And if you have any takeaway from the podcast episode, if you have any takeaway from the Pelvic Relief Bingo card, please send me a DM, send me an email. I want to know, what are you learning about your body? What are you learning about yourself? What is your favorite thing? And all of these little tips that I gave you today, which one did you notice helped you the most? What did you learn? Maybe you had an epiphany where you were sitting on the toilet and you like sitting there breathing and you're like, oh, it's so much easier to pee when I'm actually breathing. Or maybe you're noticing that, oh, I can throw my legs up the wall. I had another student that's been going through something in life right now, and, and they were like, okay, what would Penny do? What would Penny do right now? I can do my legs up the wall as I'm lying here in bed. I can do that. What would Penny do? So maybe you're learning things about yourself. Maybe you're learning a new favorite tool that you can use. Maybe you're learning something about yourself that you can take with you to your pelvic physio. This is why we're here. I'm just here as a supportive tool, and I hope this helped. You're absolutely fantastic. You're a goddess. You deserve nothing but the best. Remember that. Bye. If you love this episode, I will be so grateful if you could leave a rate and review in your podcast app. It would mean so much to me. If you're tuning in on YouTube, feel free to hit subscribe and leave a little comment down below about what you learned about yourself today. Thank you so much, and you have no idea how much I appreciate you for being here.